What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Progressive Gentleman Podcast. As always, we're your hosts. I'm Dan.
I'm Matt.
And thank you for taking the time to nerd out about music with us. We are joined today by our Chief Gaming Officer himself, Brandon Forsyth. What's up, brother?
What's going on, guys? How you doing?
Oh, just hanging in there. Tired as shit, but we're going to push through.
Power!
And if you guys listening aren't already aware, we've introduced Brandon in the past, as well as a gaming channel that we are currently working on building up. Brandon, you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So we last talked about this, I think it was back in February, right, guys? I think it was like February.
Yeah,
it was early in the year. So we talked about it in an earlier episode, and we've been doing a lot of work getting the channel ready to go. We have, I think, what is a really good quality product. That over this weekend, we're going to be doing a couple like pilots. So if you haven't actually followed the Twitch channel, we're going to be updating our links so that way it is accessible. It's easier to find on Twitch. But yeah, we'll be doing a couple of test streams just to make sure we got everything ironed out that we need to have ironed out. And then otherwise, I would say expect next weekend we should have our first launch of the gaming channel. So you guys can all hop in, enjoy the channel, enjoy the games that we're playing, interact with us, get to know us a little bit. And yeah, I mean, depending on availability, it's not going to just be me. It could also be the other two gentlemen on the call here too.
Yeah, definitely.
And maybe some bands, not necessarily full ass bands, but some members of bands that maybe you would recognize. We've already been in talks with some of them that seem interested. So that's going to be another opportunity to sort of interact with artists that you guys listen to. We're going to throw the Twitch link into our stories probably right after we're done recording this episode, just so that it's available, and then we'll make sort of a full-fledged like official post before the first official stream whenever we get there.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So that'll be on the Instagram page too. And I mean, just some other things, guys. We also have a couple of other ideas fleshed out to actually be able to enjoy games and music with you guys as a community. So yeah, definitely stay tuned to future podcasts as well as future posts on the Progressive Gentleman Gaming channel.
So that was your appetizer for the main course of this episode. We plan to talk. I mean, we have to talk about it. We finally had the opportunity to see probably the most polarizing band in I guess we'll call it progressive metal right now, and that's Sleep Token.
Love them or hate them.
Yeah, super hyped. As soon as we had the opportunity to sort of get tickets to this show, because tickets were flying. I mean, these dudes sold out Wembley Stadium, so that's.
I thought for sure I wasn't getting tickets, and then you scooped up with the Teeth of God code and got me in there.
Yeah, I mean it was crazy. I mean, how fast though they were selling out these venues. I mean, the fact that they sold out Wembley, I knew like
we were gonna
the Peterson the Peterson Events Center in Pittsburgh was gonna sell out. We knew that was gonna happen. So, yeah, I'm glad we were able to get tickets. And yeah, I mean, we just wanted to see what this was all about. We've been listening to their music forever, and I didn't understand. I still kind of. That's not fair. We'll get into that a little bit, but like, I don't understand how. I mean, we've talked about this before, that sort of metal is becoming a lot more mainstream, and progressive metal in general is starting to blend a lot more sort of pop, hip hop, R&B, like influence from more popular genres, and I think that's sort of lending to bands like Sleep Token leaking into the mainstream. And so I guess in that sense I get it, but damn, I mean, selling out venues that Taylor Swift's selling out. You know what I mean? That's crazy.
Yeah, that is pretty wild.
And sharing some of her fans, it seems, but we'll touch on that too. But yeah, no, this was something that we felt like we had a lot to say. And so we were like, let's just do a full ass Sleep Token concert review episode and talk about it. So
yeah, we haven't done a concert review in a while. I think, and you asked too. You did like a poll, and people said they were interested in doing the concert reviews. So this is
I think
perfect
it was like,
one.
We actually had some of the best sort of interaction on that poll, on that question, and I think it was like an 83% or more said do it. So
yeah,
what better way to sort of bring it back than to talk about this massive ass show? So So let's first, obviously, we want to talk about the opener. So the opener was Raising Cane's, and
it was the opener and the closer for me at one point. So
Oh,
probably within about immediately eating the food, about 10 minutes later, it was about to be the closer.
I don't know what I was more hyped for. So there are probably some other areas. People who are listening to this, Raising Cane's probably isn't as as much of a delicacy or whatever. Like we just got our first Raising Cane's in the greater Pittsburgh area, like within the last year. So, and it was 2 blocks from the venue. So we were like, as much as we were preparing for the Sleep Token show, we were also preparing like, oh, we're gonna go to Raising Cane's first, so let's make sure we get down there fast enough and get a place to park so that we have, we're not rushed and we can, we
gotta properly enjoy the chicken before we go.
So that was an event for sure. I checked out the merch table at Raising Cane's. It looked all right, but I feel like the nicest thing at the merch table at Raising Cane's was a hoodie. And it was too damn hot for that, so I did pass on merch, but maybe next time.
You gotta support local artists, Stan.
I was hoping to see a onesie or at least something like festive I could wear, but no, it was pretty much just the sweatshirt. I was
considering full chicken suit, but that wasn't an option.
That would have to beat up the mascot in the alleyway for that.
Anyway, so the real opener was Empire State Bastard, which. I've listened to Biffy Clyro a good bit, and so there's who else? Like Simon Neil from Biffy Clyro is in Empire State Bastard. I forget. It is one of those quote unquote like super bands. I think like usually when there's like pieces of other bands. But anyways, having listened to Biffy Clyro, Empire State Bastard, sounds nothing like Biffy Clyro. It's not at all what I was expecting. I had not been listening to Empire State Bastard before hearing them at this show, so I didn't have a whole lot of background. And to be honest, I didn't really prepare for it either. Like usually when there's an opener that I haven't heard before, I'll do a little bit of prep work and listen to some of their music, or at least listen to like the top 5 songs on Spotify just to understand what to expect. I did not do that for Empire State Bastard.
I did, but I did it well before the show, and then like I didn't do it again as much. Like normally I'll listen to the band just to check them out, and then like as we near closer to the show, I'll like just listen to it in the actual order that the whole performance would go. But I didn't do that this time. I was just in full Sleep Token mode for the few days leading up to it.
Yeah, and honestly, like I said, having listened to Biffy Clyro, I very much did not expect what I heard. It was like very it was thrashy at times. The vocals sort of like sometimes he was literally just sounded like he was talking to the microphone. Other times they were just like shrill screams to.
Yeah, it's like
it was very interesting.
Thrash metal, black metal, like almost like spoken wordy a little, kind of, for lack of a better way of describing it. It was like kind of all over the place, like a fever dream.
And the stage presence was very interesting. Like sort of just leaning over himself, yelling into the microphone, and like sort of wandering a little bit around the stage, but nothing crazy. And like
I thought the rug in the middle of the stage was interesting. Yeah. And
it's funny because like for a second, and this is not like I'm not in any way comparing these bands, but a band who I've seen do that is Between the Buried and Me, and vocalist with he's got his got his keyboard. Tommy's got his keyboard, and then there's like a rug underneath the keyboard, and like this guy also had a keyboard, and there's a rug. It's interesting. Like for some reason, it reminded me a little bit of that, but musically, not really at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, the one thing that I thought was actually kind of cool about their set was they did kind of blend in the lighting in some sort of essence. So like it kind of gave you like a 70s vibe whenever you were looking at their set with the rugs and the tapestries and stuff like that.
Very
I feel like the
hippie vibe.
lighting,
Yeah.
it was. I feel like the lighting was really cool, which we'll get into Sleep Token's lighting, which I have a lot of really cool things to say about later.
Oh,
but
fuck yeah.
I will say that I did not really. I feel like I just didn't hear the vocals clearly enough. I'm not sure if it was just maybe the sound of the area, with the sound engineer that was working on it or whatnot. But I can't really render my opinion, so I'm gonna lean on you two guys.
And fully like understanding how well produced Sleep Token's set was, which again we will touch on that in a little bit.
Spoilers.
It makes it's hard to think that their sound guy was the problem for Empire State Bastard. I think it was just like that was just their live set. Like that's just how they put on a show. And it wasn't like I don't think it was bad. It's just different. Like
Yeah.
grindcore meets black metal meets thrash metal meets like it just was very different. And when you go into it not expecting that, it's kind of a little bit overwhelming. Like, it's a lot to take in.
Yeah, a lot of sensors.
Like for that was gonna say, like for me, I feel like there were sounds that I was not hearing that would tie things better together. Because I did listen to a couple of their songs very briefly on Spotify in between work and the craziness that's been going on here. But yeah, I mean, I think that was partially probably my issue is that I feel like the sound design again that we'll talk about later was so much more full in that moment, and then previously it's just I felt like there were some things that just were dialed down that I couldn't really hear well enough to hear how the whole entire mix should be.
Yeah, that's fair. And I think with how often they sort of switched up their style too. Like there were times where they were coming through pretty clearly, but then they would, switch up real quick and go into like a thrash riff, and it's like, okay, well now everything just sounds like chaos. I think that's a good way to sort of describe it. Is it just was a lot of chaos, which is cool.
Imagine being the person doing the mixing for them, of like having to be like at 3 seconds turn all the knobs down, like having to constantly be like going up and down and like adjusting.
Dude has to have crazy muscle memory because I guarantee he's just over there shifting back and forth like a cat on a scratching post.
It's like that's got to be you got to have his work cut out for him. But I do think I think their presence, like that show, fits like a smaller venue, like the general admission, like for us, Mr. Smalls, like seeing that show there with that like more intimate setting, I feel like would have been like way cooler. But I think there's something about like how intense their music is, but you have this weird sort of dissociated, like I'm in a chair eating a pretzel.
I was gonna say that type of music isn't really like meant for a venue where 60+% of the people in attendance are seated eating and
yeah.
Like, but you want me to keep going? I just don't really I just don't really know like how a band like that can sort of like put on a similar performance than they're probably used to putting on in a venue where they're looking up and there's just massive amounts of people in seats, like stadium seating. Like
yeah.
Yeah, and I mean I think we all very well assumed that whenever we were walking in there that a majority of the audience was there for Sleep Token, but we'll have actually a pretty cool and interesting story to share with you guys once we get to that during the Sleep Token segment about a couple fans that we actually met that were there mainly for Empire State Bastard starting off. I mean, they were there for Sleep Token too. But it was pretty cool to see the different mesh of people that were there for different reasons, but they still were just excited to see both the bands.
Yeah, and it was interesting too that there were some people that like looked confused that was the opener, but then there were other people that were getting into it. So it's like, I mean, and you have that anywhere, but I feel like more so with a band like Sleep Token, who sort of garners they cast a very wide net as far as fandom. We would, for lack of a better phrase, we would call a huge chunk of their fans the Woo Girls, which I would also categorize like a lot of Taylor Swift fans as Woo Girls. I feel like the Woo Girls were very much confused by the opener.
Yeah, I feel like that is definitely a band. If you didn't check out before the show, you would be like, oh, like, what is this?
Mm-hmm.
And be like just very confused. It's just like, like we mentioned before, just sensory overload of this crazy light show, guy screaming and falling onto a carpet in the stage. And it's a lot to take in for sure.
It was still really cool though, because like coming from the metal community, like you go to certain shows that you're just like, yeah, these are the metal fans. This is the general audience that's going to go to a show like this. But it was a very diverse group that was there, which was cool because I think that's the one like alluring factor to Sleep Token is how accessible they are and how that's a nice like little segue to kind of get into progressive metal, heavier types of music compared to Taylor Swift.
Yeah, I mean they are definitely one of those bands that's sort of leading the charge for like metal becoming accessible 100%. Strangely enough, so is Knocked Loose. How the fuck does that work? But anyway,
Yeah.
They play. Didn't they play at Coachella or they played at like some festival recently, which is insane because they played Counting Worms and people just went insane for it. Like people that you would not normally expect to enjoy
fucking
that type of polos and the little flower hats and stuff like that. They're mostly there to see dubstep and EDM, but then as soon as Counting Worms comes on, they're metal fans.
They're ready to go.
I just like Billie Eilish was side stage for Counting Worms. She went to literally just to watch Knocked Loose, which is wild. I think that's pretty cool. But yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting to see sort of the rise of metal into like sort of pop culture. I don't know how I feel about. I've talked about this before. I don't know how I feel about it completely. Because for no other reason than the fact that now tickets are harder to fucking get for shows I want to go to, and now bands are playing venues that I have to sit. Not that in my age, I like to sit. I'm gonna be honest with you. But like, if I don't want to sit, I want like I shouldn't have to. It's just interesting. Like even Haken recently did a show where it was just all seated. Like I just don't understand. I mean, it's not that I don't understand. I get it, and I'm glad that a lot of these artists that we like to listen to are sort of now able to sort of make a living for themselves doing this shit. Where before, you had to have you probably still do the economy shit, but that's a whole different story. But like, you had to have your day job, and then you would go play clubs at night. And now it's like, no, these bands can sell out Wembley Stadium. Like,
yeah.
What I find kind of interesting too is we think back to like our childhood and the music that we listened to, like around like the 2010s and stuff like that was whenever like deathcore and some other metal music was kind of getting a little bit more mainstream. And it seems like, they just had to have a little bit more time to kind of leave it in the oven because ever since 2020, like it's been increasing, which I mean, I think it's cool. It's awesome
We're
to get
all
more people
angry
into the
and
community.
angsty.
That and we're also getting more melodic.
Yes. That's true. It even seems guys like Will Ramos have like a place in pop culture now, like not just metal culture. And people are fascinated by that, that type of metal now more than they ever were in the past. So it's like, you in the past you would see Will Ramos on social media doing all this crazy, vocal shit that he does. And people would be like, "Oh, it's the devil's music." And now it's like, there's like sub channels that are like, "Let's stick a camera down his throat and see what he's doing and how does he do this?" And we're just intrigued by how this is possible. And it's not just like Satan. It's like, oh, intrigue.
Yeah, and they're like dissecting it of like vocal rundown of like this dude is a monster, literally and figuratively.
Yeah, and it's interesting, but Anyways, Empire State Bastard, they were cool.
It's one of our usual tangents.
Yeah, it happens. But yeah, no, I definitely enjoyed them. It was just not what I expected, but in a good way. Although I did find myself sort of like watching the crowd a lot more than them, just to see people's reactions to that shit, because I knew what the crowd was like, just based on how long we stood in the line. And sort of like scoping out the people in line, and just like the general, like there were all types in attendance, and so I was just very intrigued to see like people's reactions to that type of music.
Yeah, I would love to see them in like a smaller venue like Mr. Smalls and see what like the type of environments like then, especially like with the more like Like the more enclosed pits that we can actually have, like, mosh pits and circle pits and stuff compared to what we saw.
Yeah, and like have another organized chaos type band like Crypto
Mm-hmm.
Dira open for them or something. You know what I mean? Like
Oh
I feel
yeah.
like that would fit.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I still am not confident of if Crypto Dira was offended when I called their music organized chaos or not when we interviewed them.
Nah, I think I think they appreciated it.
If you guys are listening, I love your music.
Yeah, I
but
mean
anyways,
we've raved about their music. It's not
no,
meant
I
to be an
know.
insult.
I'm just joking. I'm just joking. But anyways, Sleep Token. So
The moment you've all been waiting for.
I mean, I don't even know where to start with these guys. Like, first of all, the way they open and close the show is sick.
Yeah.
The fact that they open with "This Night Does Not Belong to God" or whatever the name of that song. Is that what it's called? I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, the night does not
and then
belong to God.
and then they close with Euclid, which is literally like a callback to "The Night Does Not Belong to God."
Yeah.
Like, is just awesome that they did that.
They made the show prog too.
Yeah,
It was like there's a concept album for the show.
I mean, even like the transition between the opener and then Sleep Token 2, like it was ominous. Like it got really dark in the venue, which was really cool because then as soon as everybody was on stage, lights came on, sound came on, it was surreal.
And you could kind of I don't know if this was actually them warming up or if this was just a recording being played to sort of set the scene, but like you were hearing like sort of harmonized, sort of chanty like gang vocals that would happen for a little bit and then just like fade and then happen for a little bit and then just fade. And I don't know if that was Aspera warming up or if that was just intentionally designed to be that way. But even that was like sort of, you would hear it like, oh, is it happening? What's happening? Like, are we doing this? Is this happening? Yeah. And yeah, I mean, everything about how they set everything up was awesome. How they sort of all came out one at a time. And I mean, they've all sort of taken on a life of their own at this point. And so that was really cool, Vessel and then 2, 3, and 4 since that's what they go by, and then Aspera also.
Yeah, the unveiling of like each person on the stage was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And we actually have sort of a connection to a member of but we're not allowed to talk about it in detail, but I think it's okay to mention that we know somebody involved in Sleep Token's camp. Matt gave me some real wide eyes there. He's like, don't talk about it.
I don't know.
I feel like they don't hide it. Like, I feel like I feel like it would not take much to find out who this person is.
But I don't want to be the reason.
Out of respect for this person, we won't go into it. But to see them do their thing was pretty cool too, having that connection.
Yeah, that was really awesome.
Like, I actually really enjoyed that sort of like extra layer to it as well. And yeah, just I mean everything about sort of just how they, came out on stage just to the intro was just wild to me. Like just some of the best production of any show I've ever been to, like from light show to sound engineering to stage set to just stage presence, just everything about the interludes with like little, like the little spoken whatever stuff that they had between like, there were like 3 intermissions kind of.
Yeah, like, it was like a full ass play.
Yeah, it literally the only thing I can compare it to, and on a much smaller scale, but still like I my wife messaged me like the next day, like how's the show? And I was like, honestly, probably second only to that Taylor Swift show as far as just full on production goes. Because like I don't like Taylor Swift's music that much. Like, let me be real, she's a great musician. I respect the hell out of her. I think she's incredibly talented. And I think she puts on a incredible show that's probably second to none. This was the closest that I've ever gotten in my music scene to that.
Wow, that's pretty impressive just based off of like sheer number of shows that you've been to. And being able to compare the same, because like I've never seen her stuff live, and I've not like watched the like even recorded version, so I have like little to no, idea of how the shows actually are for Taylor Swift show, other than really crowded. But
yes, very crowded, and we got to experience like a slightly smaller scale of that with this
yeah,
show too,
where you had to trample each other to get into the venue.
Yeah, that's the other thing. I mean, we can hit rewind a little bit and talk about that for a hot second, because like we were outside, sort of. Everyone was hoarded to two different entrances. The front entrance was for people on the floor only, but there was nothing that said that, so people were lined up like around this. It's where we saw them at is a basketball arena.
Yeah, it's the Pitt College basketball stadium,
which they hold a lot of NCAA, like the NCAA tournament and stuff like that gets held there and all this stuff. So like it's a pretty big venue. I think they said it holds like 17,000 people or something like that.
Yeah, I forget the exact number, but it's over 10,000 people.
Yeah. So there's no signs that say any of this shit. There's one guy in a yellow shirt that has to try to hoard, 15,000 people to the right spot.
And half of the people are looking for merch, and half are looking for the line to line up to get into the venue for doors, and they're not really helping anybody anywhere.
Yeah, and so like this line is like the whole way down the street, the whole way back up the street, wrapped around the building, like just this crazy long line that we're like, this would suck. And then we find out before we even get in the line that that's not the right line that we need to be in. So then we end up having to walk the whole way around the building again and find this other line that's crammed into this weird, like, I don't even know how to
tunnel
describe
stairwell
it. Like,
thing.
like, so it wrapped around, like down around this building into this weird corner and then back out from the corner. Like, I can't even describe this, but like, just the dumbest way possible, basically, is the way to describe it.
Yeah, there's no like roped off section to like have a line. It was just this giant like mass of humans pushing, and
so it gets to a point where now people are just making their own lines. So now there are like 4 different lines to the same entrance, and it's like, well, we've been waiting here forever. Why the hell does this second line get to form? And then like of people who just showed up. So basically everyone felt that way. And I think what lended to the chaos and why we ended up not having to wait in this line as long, sorry for anyone listening who finds out that we cut you in line, was they opened the side door first. And like people started, like that wasn't the door people were lined up for. So then people just sort of diverted to this side door. And then they're like, oh no, this is for like VIP seating only or whatever. So at that point, then they opened the regular doors, and everyone's like, well, screw it. It's just chaos. Just everyone just rushed to the door. It was crazy.
All bets are off.
So anyways, do better with line control, Peterson Events Center. That was terrible.
Yeah, that's actually the first concert I got an email to review how the event went.
Really?
And I was like, you sent this to the wrong person, because this was terrible. Yeah, like the actual place was like pristine, like the bathrooms were super clean. It was like very, very good working order, clean and everything. But like the whole line situation for the show was like the worst I've ever experienced.
Yeah, that was terrible. And honestly, it would have been way worse had we not ended up cutting like 2/3 of the people in line, because there was just a mad rush to the door, and we were just like, well, I guess we're just going to join the rush.
I got I got sandwiched in between 2 people who are somehow more passive than I am. Let me just let it happen.
Yep, it worked out. But anyways, so back to the show. Sorry, we hit the rewind button there for a second. Oh, what were you going to say, Brandon?
No, I was going to say, like, as we were talking about just like the entrance of the band and stuff like that, I mean, overall, between the entrance and then the entire show, which, we'll talk about the sound and everything like that too. The thing I really liked, I think, the most about the show was that they really boosted the background vocalists. Like, I feel like between listening to the record and listening to them live, typically, Vessel's going to be the predominant vocal that you hear on a record. These were equal, and sometimes whenever there was like a lot of harmonization going on, like even the background vocalists were even higher, I felt like, which was really cool because it added like just such a unique sound element, especially them coming out originally. Like it was like a choir at that point.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead, Ray. Go ahead.
All right, I'll go. What where I think that was most evident was with the intro and outro songs too, because like there's those sort of cut all the instrumentals and it's just the harmonies, like just the vocal harmonies. Um, Honestly, I felt like Aspera as backup vocalists, like being there live and performing with Sleep Token, sort of amplified. Like, I mean, we're gonna again, sound engineering was incredible, but I feel like almost equally, sort of deserving was the fact was Aspera was the backup vocalist, or as I heard some fans call them, the Vesselettes.
There was a lot of people cosplaying the Asperas as well as like the different Sleep Token
three
members
right in front of us. Yeah.
Yeah,
there's one walk around too that was passing out those little stickers to put on your camera during one of the songs. It was cool. It was cool just to see the culmination of like all of the communities, all the fans of like the band itself, but then kind of pulling in their own cosplays, their own fandom into those elements. But yeah, no, I agree. I think it really was like we were going to metal church at that point.
Yeah.
Worship.
It was very sort of transcending, very like, yeah, honestly, it felt kind of like you just said, like metal church in a way, like especially during those like sort of instrumentalist harmonies, just crazy shit.
I was gonna say we gave our offerings for the expensive beverages and stuff like that around the arena, so that was our offering to the venue. Then
we tithed.
The offering. Oh, there you go. Ties back.
But what I think set Sleep Token apart a little bit, aside from their accessibility, which is kind of second to none at this point in this genre, Vessel feels that shit. Like it's insane how I feel like people talk shit on the masks and the embodying someone else and put the clown show, as I've seen some people call it. Like people talk shit on that, but how many of our favorite bands hide behind a facade? Coheed and Cambria. Yeah. Here's my mention of Coheed and Cambria for
Quota met.
So, like, it is a known fact that Claudio Sanchez hides his true life experiences and whatever in his fiction. Like, it's just known. So this to me is like Ghost, that band that does that shit. That's a fucking clown show. There's your clown show. This to me like is sort of a derivative of that in a way, but like to me, seeing how sort of emotionally attached he is to these pieces of music, it's almost less like a clown show and more like he's hiding from reality or facing reality or whatever. Or he's scared to put his whole self into this, and it's just sort of taken on like a life of its own at this point. Like, because there are times where he's audibly sobbing and like while he's singing these songs.
No, you can hear it through his vocals and stuff too. I mean, you can just tell.
Yeah, like he is very connected to these pieces of music, and
it makes me wonder with the mask, like if he's more himself because he like doesn't have to fear that like people know who he is. So it's like this is actually 100%. Him, and that's why he like feels the music, and that's why like people make fun of he does that like sort of shuffly dance thing, and they just like all call him like he's like this goober janking across the stage, kind of just like
there's almost no way he would be doing the same shit unmasked. Almost no way. Like
but what I think makes it so good is it's like this guy's having fun. Like you can see on stage, like, or not necessarily all the songs are fun, but like when it gets to like the parts where he's dancing around, it's like you can tell he's loving this. And then when it's like a sadder song, like you can tell he's kind of like welling up a bit and stuff with like you said, he's feeling the music. And so it's cool. It feels like very genuine despite the fact that they're all wearing masks and paint and stuff.
Yeah. And I agree. I think it's what is allowing him to be himself and sort of tell his truth through music, whatever that may be. Tell his story through music, whatever that may be, is, sort of taking on this alternate persona to tell a story, I think very much allows him to, even though he's not himself, he's probably more himself than he would be unmasked.
Well, I feel like that's part of the allure with the band too, is like, they started off as this, anonymous band, even though now I know they're not anonymous anymore, which sucks. But, they started off as this anonymous band with this type of lore story. Like, it seemed like a cult, which I think initially probably detracted people away from being too interested in them.
People love cults. That's literally why they're so popular.
That's part of it. Yeah, I mean, I think it was just obscure initially starting off, but I think that's what has really helped elevate them too, because of that anonymity they have. Like, people can relate with them without actually seeing them as a person. Like, they see them more as a portrayal of themselves. And I think that comes from the fact that, they try to remain anonymous. They try to pour their emotion out in a way that it's not like, look at me as a person and these are the emotions that I'm feeling. It's just so generalized and accessible and easy to get to, because you can just see a lot of your feelings within them.
Yeah, for sure. And and that's what helps too, with the fact that they have so many songs that sort of transcend so many genres. It just even more so lends to them, more people being able to connect to their music. So it's like, people love cults, people love genuine shit. And then, same with Coheed, how Coheed has so many they have something for everyone basically. And I think Sleep Token does as well.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to take a slight tangent here and throw out there that seeing that groovy breakdown in the Summoning live was a very sexual experience for me.
It was that was pretty awesome. That was the moment that I was most looking forward to in that show. I was like, if they don't play the song, I'm gonna cry.
And
there's a very good reason people call it baby making metal, because it's groovy. Yeah. Everybody can get into it.
And the universe didn't want me to have any evidence of it, because my phone storage filled literally as soon as it started the drop for the groovy drop there.
Oh no.
Literally that's if I play the video that I have, it's right at that. It literally leads right up to it. He just finished his drum solo and then done.
Before he comes in with the "My Love."
Yeah, part. I was pissed, but then at the same time I was like, well, now I'm just gonna watch the shit. So I mean, I was watching it anyways, but
you get what I'm saying. Nice to have the permanent record of it.
Yeah, I would have liked to have been able to post that on the socials for everyone to see. But there's
I'm pretty sure I got that part, but I'm also up in the nosebleed, so it's the view is not as great.
Yeah, that was another thing.
I'm one of the worst people to go to shows with, because I will pay attention to the show with my ADD and I will not film it. And I was very upset about not filming that, because I at least have enough phone memory. So you just got to start nudging me, Dan, if we go to shows. Be like, record this, my phone's full.
Nah, I mean, I don't try to record everything, because I do I know that's sort of a controversial thing too, right? Recording parts of the show versus actually paying attention to the show you bought a ticket for. I try to sort of tread a line. I mostly record for content for you guys, for our audience. But that part I just wanted to have to,
this one's for me.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, normally I would understand, but I was gonna say this was the Sleep Token show, so I wouldn't be appearing to you having your phone out the entire time so we can relive it.
Yeah, I mean, I recorded. I think I recorded the intro and the outro, and maybe 3 other not full song clips of. I got the breakdown in "Take Me Back to Eden."
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah, I'll have to revisit what I have, because I probably won't stop posting. I'll probably keep posting more shit. So sorry in advance.
We're now Sleep Token Daily is our new.
It's funny because we had a pretty big lull there. I've been, Matt's been busy. I've been busy with my work stuff's been insane recently, and
yeah.
We came out to start this year this is the year of content, and then we went a whole month without posting shit on Instagram. But we're gonna get back to that. I'm still sticking with it being the year of content, and we got the gaming channel stuff coming up soon too, so that's gonna be good. But yeah, no, I know it's controversial, but I try to snag at least like 2 or 3 videos a show just to have some content, and have a little souvenir to review later. But yeah, I think this is probably a top 5 show of all time for me. I've been trying to think of what shows would top it. In production quality, none. There's not a single show tops it.
Oh yeah.
Again, minus that Taylor Swift show, but that's for production quality only. I'm not trying to say that. You know what I'm trying to say, but yeah. I really liked seeing Kill Switch on the big stage at Mayhem back in the day.
That would have been cool.
With Howard, that was a sweet show.
Yeah, we were jamming out to what was it, the End of Heartache on our way home.
We were listening to End of Heart. We were stuck in the parking garage for like 45 minutes. So I was like, "Fuck it!" So I wound the windows down and we were blasting.
Fully down,
just
man.
Blasting music.
People heard both of us singing at the same time, not even harmonizing. I guarantee they were like, "This is the after show at this point."
Yeah, I didn't care. I was like, "Oh, whatever." End of Heartache came on. We were belting it, but not well. But we were having a good time.
We had the volume. We didn't have the harmonization.
Yes. The passion was there. But yeah, definitely. I think that color set, BT Bam playing Colors in its entirety was pretty cool. The first time I saw them do that was actually at Irving Plaza in New York, and that was a cool ass show. That was the first time I ever saw them play Son of Nothing live, and that was sort of
that'd be cool.
Special experience. But yeah, I mean, it's tough. It's tough for me to find off the top of my head right now, like shows that could top this. I mean, Take Me Back to Eden, that record is still one that I frequently listen to from front to back. So to see a lot of that stuff played live, and then also obviously, stuff from Sundowning, which is a great record, and they played Alkaline, which was cool, and they played Atlantic,
even
which
the
was
interludes too.
Yeah, and even
like
the
interludes, like they were just perfectly mixed in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think for me, like the set list was like near perfect. I was like, there were a couple songs like probably like Missing Limbs is a song for me that's like I can kind of take it or leave it. Like it's not a bad song, but there are other ones that I would have rather heard. But I think like
and Missing Limbs is the one they did like the pink sticker thing for.
Yeah.
Did you guys? Was there someone up around you guys giving out pink stickers?
No, I didn't get anything. I was strapped to the ceiling.
When you
stopped halfway, they were done.
When you were looking for us, and I was like, "Look for the pink light" or whatever. Did you end up seeing it?
Yeah, I did, and I was like, did he download an app to change his flashlight batteries? I was like, what? Where'd he get a pink light on his phone? Yeah. I was a bit confused by that, and then I did see like later on, like a bunch of people had their phone lights on and they were pink, and I was like, what is happening?
People were not consistent though. It was a mixture. It was probably about 50-50 between people that had pink and people that had white.
Yeah, they didn't cover the whole venue. Obviously, Matt didn't even see anybody. So
yeah, it was like playing tricks on my brain, and because I was like, are my eyes going bad? I mean, I know I just got new glasses. Is there something wrong with them? Like, why is this some of it pink? And it's like, who's getting these? Where are they getting them from?
So yeah,
I mean, like for me, I mean, I agree with you, Dan. Like, it's hard for me to place it, but for me, just because I have not been to as many shows as you, it's probably top 3. I mean, like for me, sound was probably a 10 out of 10. Light show, I'd say like 8 to 9 out of 10. I mean, it's hard to do that stuff in like the bigger venues because you don't have
I thought
as many
the lights
options.
were fantastic.
They were cool.
They were a little like there should have been a fucking warning for like,
for some of them for sure.
Oh, dude,
I kind of wish that the mosh pit.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say I kind of wish the mosh pit was like filled with vapors though, because they had so many of those beam lights that were going, and like they're even better looking whenever you have like fog and stuff going through it.
Yeah, and you just can't pump enough fog into that venue without killing people.
Yeah.
A good show or not leaving the show. I mean, wham either way.
Yeah, no, I felt like the light show was incredible. One of the best engineered light shows I've seen in metal for sure.
Mm-hmm.
It was cool. That was the one part where I feel like being in the nosebleeds was actually beneficial. Was like when the like kind of cone of light shot out from the stage. From the top, you could see like the top, like bird's eye view of the lasers, and you could see like a fog pattern in it. Like there was like a pattern in the lights, and I was just like, oh, this is cool. Like I've never seen that before.
Well, and plus for rain too, since they had those like stick lights almost that hung down from the top, that was really cool because they not only had like the laser lights going, they also had those like LED stick lights that just looked like raindrops falling down. And it was, it was definitely different than what I'm used to.
There were some videos that, like, when I watched them back, I thought I was gonna have a fucking seizure. Like,
there were those elements too.
Yeah, they should have come with like an epilepsy warning when you buy the purchase of the ticket.
Yeah, they were intense, but I mean, still really cool. But
it was cool. Yeah, I think for me it was like the only con was just that like I didn't buy better seats. It was like otherwise like I enjoyed the show from beginning to end, and it was just like,
speaking of better seats, shout out to the two people that switched seats with us.
Oh yeah, you got good enough seats to begin with, and you got a free upgrade. You jerk.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure
move down 12 rows.
Oh yeah, because I'm pretty sure Dan, you probably got the seats that we had within the first like 5 to 10 minutes of that pre-sale launching, like early access. Which they, again, like as Matt said, they were fantastic seats, but we were lucky enough that we were next to 3 people that had 2 friends that had to get separate tickets, and they were sitting down even closer to the stage, so we got down probably about halfway through the alphabet before we got to those seats, and we were like 45 degrees center stage.
12 rows closer. It was nice. And we had a couple empty seats on either side of us too, so we were able to sort of like spread out a little bit, not feel too crammed, which was nice.
I kind of wish airplanes were like that most times.
Yeah, same. But yeah, we ended up telling them about the people sitting next to us about the podcast, and so if you guys are listening, thanks for the slight seat upgrade there. We appreciate you.
You guys are awesome.
I would have liked one as well, but that's okay.
I was going to say, we actually had enough seats down there you could have, but that would probably be against policy at the Peterson Events Center. So,
yeah, by the time we knew that they were going to stay empty, like the show was like in full swing, and I was like, there's no way that...
Yeah, and I wouldn't have wanted to leave in the middle of the Sleep Token set either, so it was like, even if it was empty, I wouldn't have wanted to like miss a song or two by walking the whole way around the venue, because you guys are across from us.
Yep. But
it's a bummer they limited the number of tickets so we couldn't all just get seats together.
Yeah,
I get that it's to combat bots, but it's.
I kind of would have liked floor seats, I think.
Yeah, next time we got to save up.
Next time, yeah, it's got to be the move. That's another thing worth talking about. Like, people were really feeling the music and stuff, and that's cool. But like, there was like not much movement. Like, I'm just so used to metal shows, even if it's not a mosh pit or whatever. Like,
a lot of like bouncing around.
Yeah, but there wasn't too much of that. Like, people were clapping when they told you to clap and waving their arms when they told you to wave their arms or whatever. But like, there was one mosh pit, and I don't even remember what it was for.
I do remember seeing the mosh pit. Yeah. And it was like, I was honestly kind of surprised at all that one broke out. I feel like
I'm surprised it took as long as it did, to be honest. Like,
I don't know. I like just with the kind of diverse crowd of people that like may have never been to a metal show, and it also being in the like weird venue that it's in, is like, I would have been like, are mosh pits okay here? Like, are we supposed to do this, or is no one else in the same ballpark as me? Am I about to like crowd kill somebody by accident?
But when it started, though, you could tell that there were the people that were in the mosh pit, like that wasn't their first mosh pit kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it's like
A
if
couple
those
of
people
them.
exist, you would think that one would have broken out sooner than that.
Yeah, I feel like
Yeah,
it's
I mean,
just like weird trying to read the room of like, you all here? Have you moshed before? Like, is this okay if I start pushing someone?
you
You guys
gotta-
are gonna like call security on me?
You got to do what I did at the Coheed show where there was no mosh pit, and I just tapped the guy in front of me, and I was like, "Mosh pit." And he was
Mosh?
like,
Question
he was
mark?
like, he was like, just push me, and I was like, all right. So as soon as I forget what song it was, but as soon as like it hit the part where we would mosh at, I just like barred my arms and just shoved him forward. I was one of those assholes, right? There were people that hated me at that show, but also then we had a mosh pit the rest of the show. So,
And I mean, the guy was in on it, so it was
Yeah.
like, you know.
but there were
That
so
worked.
many people that were just waiting for it to happen, and nobody wanted to be the guy to start it. So I was like, well, fuck it, I'll be the guy. I would not do that now in my current life, but in a past life, I was all for that shit.
So you got to avoid the medical bills at our old age here. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's understandable that there weren't like circle pits or mosh pits like as often as we would hope. But I was a little bit disappointed because whenever it did break out, I was like, man, I feel like the Wiggles have harsher mosh pits than this.
Right?
Like, whenever they were,
very
like-
mild.
Like the pushing was just very light. It was like, oh, here you go. It didn't actually even touch you.
I saw a couple of guys starting to slam dance, and I was like, oh no.
Honestly, I feel like that was a
stopped real
saving grace
fast.
for the show. That would have been funny.
But yeah, I mean, people were still real into it. I mean, some of the loudest applause and stuff like that, and I mean, granted, I guess that's just sheer volume of humans, right? 15,000 people or whatever, but you know, I felt like everybody was engaged, and you know, the woo girls were wooing, and
Even being in the stadium setting too, like the people that were in the seats like us, they were getting into it. They were grooving. They were happy with it.
yeah, people were dancing around, singing. It was great.
I mean, heck, there were people in the aisles for the stairs going up and down, which I would never do because I'd probably, with my luck, fall down the stairs. But it was it was pretty. It was cool. It was cool to see everybody just like.
Room.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, a little bit more room and a concussion, but yeah, it was it was cool to see everybody just there vibing, enjoying the music. Like you could tell that everybody was there actually enjoying it, and there weren't people that like weren't being dragged along that they didn't actually like the music.
Yeah, I do
Right.
feel like everyone was enjoying it. It was also a funny experience, like going to a metal show with my mom, and obviously my wife too. But my mom came and was like, I mean, she had never
It'd
been.
be funnier. It'd be funnier if it was just you and your mom. Like if you would have just left it at that. It's like it was weird, you know, like going to a metal show with my mom and
Yeah. No, it was yeah, it was a fun time, and like it wasn't weird because it was my mom. It's just like I've been listening to metal forever, and you know, before I was able like had my driver's license, she would drop me off at a show, but like she didn't stay or like go to them or anything. So like this was the first show, and like just seeing her get so into it was just like, wow, this is strange. It's like, and that just speaks to kind of like how approachable it is, because like my mom doesn't really listen to metal. I mean, she listens to like hard rock and stuff, but
bro, her favorite band is Gloom Doom from Pittsburgh. So.
she does it. She still talks about that show. That was actually when we were at Millvale Music Festival a couple weeks ago. That's what she was talking about.
She's like, "Are they going to be here? I'm going to buy merch."
They're the opener.
I was gonna say, Matt, that's not
Shout out
entirely
Gloom Doom.
accurate because I remember whenever we were younger, we went to Seether, Breaking Benjamin, and 3 Days Grace at the Star Lake.
Yeah, I
With
mean,
your
I
mom
put them
and
in the
my
hard
mom.
rock category though, not metal.
Yeah, that's more hard,
Yeah.
but that's still.
Well,
like,
it's
that's
not
still
metal. I'm
cool.
just saying, like she stayed with us with that show.
She's got
Yeah.
an edge, bro. She's edgy.
Like she listens to heavier music than I would say probably most of like people
Most
our
moms.
parents' age, and especially like particularly like moms of our parents' age, I would say is probably like, not into super heavy stuff, but and my mom's probably into heavier things than usual, but I was still like not expecting her to like especially gloom or doom gloom,
Doom
but
gloom.
like
Gloom
Sleep Token, it
doom.
was just like I thought there was a chance that she might like some of the music, but not all of it. But yeah, I mean, after I told her about it, she just kept listening, um, and I told her after "Take Me Back to Eden" had come out, and so I assumed that was just basically the only album she had listened to. But she was like, "My favorite album is Sundowning," and I was like, "I think you're talking about the wrong album." And I was like, "Like I think you're talking about "Take Me Back to Eden," and she was like, "No, I'm not." And it was like when she was looking through the songs, she was like, "Yeah, it's Sundowning," and I was like, "Huh? So you did actually do your homework and listen to their whole discography?" And it was like it was like a proud
cool.
son moment.
Yeah.
So a combination of this is Jaws would have been cool. Yeah, a combination of this is shout out to Mama Matthew.
Yeah, it was a fun show. She had a blast, and she was
progressive gentle moms.
I like it. Have to get her a t-shirt or something made.
It's gonna be a spin-off, but it's gonna be like a reality TV series.
It's TLC series, The Gentle Moms.
Oh man. Yeah,
But,
I mean, I don't know if there's anything else we want to touch on. I mean, we could probably literally talk about this shit for a long ass time. I mean, uh, going down track by track as to what they played and talking about it, or throwing conversations about the merch in there. I mean, maybe we could touch on that a little bit. So,
yeah.
so the merch situation was interesting. The only other band or the only other artist I've ever seen sell merch outside of the stadium before the show was Taylor Swift. Again, I keep bringing up Taylor Swift. So the fact that they had like 2 different merch locations outside of the venue before doors opened, as early as 2:00, and I think doors were at like 6:30 or how? Yeah. So like significantly before doors, was very interesting. They seem to run out of the big sizes pretty quick. Or not like by big sizes I mean like your
American sizes.
Your popular sizes.
Yeah.
Is what it is. So like they were out of like smalls, larges, and 2Xs in like almost every big popular thing by the time I got to the line on the inside merch like table. So that was kind of wild to me.
Yeah. The whole thing with like having the outside merch was already like, oh, so people are going to be buying lots of merch.
Yeah.
It's like clearly having that was wild.
I was gonna say because we weren't like the first show by any means. I don't know where we fell in the list, but they've been doing this tour for a little while now. So clearly they've been selling enough merch outside to keep doing that shit. So
yeah, they had a pile of giant boxes.
Yeah,
like next to the booth. They were just piling up as they were selling through shirts and hoodies and stuff. And it was like, yeah. I mean, they had to sell like at least like 1,000 pieces of shirts, hoodies.
Oh shit, dude! Like, oh, easily.
Yeah,
easily. One thing I will throw out there is as a caution to people going to the shows in the future, as far as merch goes. I bought a 3X hoodie that fits snugger, like more snug, than some of my XL hoodies.
Yeah. Yeah, that hoodie was like absurdly small for
like
being a 3X.
I usually buy like a 2X because I like a little room in my hoodie. So that's what I asked for, and all they had was XLs and 3Xs. So I was like, well, let me see the 3X. And when I held it up, I was like, this is smaller than most hoodies I own. So I was like,
it was an infant's 3X.
But it fits perfect and it's very comfortable. So, I mean, I'll give it that. And then on the flip side of it, I bought a extra large t-shirt that fits better than I would consider this almost like a 2X. I'm wearing it right now. Like, like it's actually the biggest extra large t-shirt I own. So
yeah, so they're like inconsistent sizes.
yeah, so expect, like, I would ask to see the shit before you buy it, just to like sort of gauge if you need to size up or down. But I felt like they had a lot of good options. The hoodie was very cool. They had several t-shirt options, a lot, with the dates on them if you're into that kind of thing or whatever. But I wish they had a hat. They didn't have a hat. They had like a bucket hat, like a Gilligan fucking
the boonie
sun
hat.
Yeah, I was like,
Gilligan.
Yeah, but price wise, because I know like that's been a thing that people were curious about. I think the hoodies were like 70. The t-shirts were like $40, maybe $30.
I think 40. I think it
$40.
depended on the shirt, but the one that I got was 40.
Yeah, so I think the t-shirts were like $40. I think they had some long sleeve shirts that were like 50.
Yeah, they
50 or 55.
They had a sling bag that I think was like 50 or 60.
Yeah, kind of like was it like a crossbody type bag?
Yeah, it kind of looked almost like it was like a camera bag, like
Okay.
in size. Like it wasn't. It was supposed to, be like a crossbody, like kind of sling bag, but it was shaped like a perfect square almost.
Yeah.
It wasn't like the fanny pack.
I didn't see that they had like CDs or vinyl or anything like that. I don't think they had any of that stuff.
Yeah, I didn't notice any of that either.
Strangely enough.
And
no
our
stickers, no patches, no.
Yeah, and our stop didn't have that like coin that I've seen them do for a few different locations now. You get like a commemorative coin thing that you can get.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, they didn't even offer it for us.
That was not an offering.
No, it was not an offering.
We were not allowed to worship in that way.
No, we weren't special enough, I guess.
But yeah, so that's kind of the merch situation. Anyways, overall, top 5 show easily. I'm actually leaning top 3. It might have been my favorite show I've been to ever.
It's definitely for me in the like top 5 for sure as well.
Yeah.
I'd have to like rerun through all the shows, but
yeah,
definitely up there.
So if you guys have an opportunity, definitely don't miss this. It's worth even paying a little bit extra, I would say, for like aftermarket. I wouldn't go too crazy, but don't sell your car. But if closer to the show, those secondhand tickets come down in price, I would jump on it. It was definitely a worthwhile experience.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I guess we'll sort of end it here. We're gonna try to get some more episodes out soon, whether it's solo or otherwise. We've been talking to some artists, bands, whatever, some that we've already talked to or whatever, about doing maybe some guest hosting and just picking a topic and just bullshitting on it with someone else just to see how that goes. I feel like that has the potential to be pretty cool.
Kind of do like our general transmission format where we just kind of like BS about whatever topics metal related, but have
and maybe just
person.
let them pick the topic even, like,
yeah, that'd be cool,
and just see what happens. So that's something we've been in conversations with a couple people around that. So keep your eyes out for that. And obviously, gaming channel coming soon. Some test streams happening this weekend, and hopefully that maiden voyage maybe next weekend. So keep an eye out on the socials for that stuff. And as always, this episode was brought to you by Eargasm Earplugs. Use code Gentleman10 at checkout and get a discount. Protect your hearing today. And thank you guys so much for listening. We'll catch you on the next one.
Thanks.
See you guys.